Well, show me this. Don't hit me. Don't hit me.
Well, don't ring no bell, y'all.
Stand up. Show me this jab because you slung it a couple of times. It's pretty fast.
He's a big boy. See, I like big guys like that. Shit, he's bigger than all of them.
Show me the jab. What,
you see what the
you took your ring off. What are you doing?
Because I'm gonna slap. I'm gonna slap.
Why you taking your watch off?
No, because it's too big. They go up and down my arm. Just hold that hand up. See, I'm gonna show you the whole thing. What fighters do today, they do like this. That's okay, right? Mm-hmm. But if a fighter would do like this, it don't hurt, do it?
That's fine. But it frustrates you.
Don't get scared.
How quick is that? How old? Today. 65 used to dropping shots
64.
Like that. 64.
I just turned on November the 3rd. I turned 64. You're making me old already. Just because they have grandkids old as you know what I mean?
How good was Larry Holmes' jab? In that video there, he kind of broke down why fighters today don't really, they don't really throw the jab the way he did. Because throwing a jab, I don't know if you guys have ever boxed before, do you know what I'm saying, but I have. Throwing a jab, it takes a lot out of you. It takes a lot out of your arms. You need to have very good arms. A lot of guys that have muscular arms tend to struggle to have an authoritative jab consistent because it really kills your arms. And Larry had very long, but he didn't have like a real big muscular physique. He was quite, he was always in good condition, Larry. But all we got to say is throwing a jab takes a lot out of you, especially when you're doubling up and you're doing it consistently. Larry showed in that video that you can vary the jab. That's what he was really showing. You can do that little flick jab. You can do a straight jab. You can do a jab to the chest. And Larry wasn't just about his jab, but he had good footwork to move with his jab. So he would, he would use different bits to different bits of the jab to try and frustrate opponents, frustrate them. It was all about getting distance. I remember when he fought Ernie Shavers. Shavers was always a guy that would come in, duck down, and his biggest punch was the power punch. But Shavers was a fighter that had to always reset. He was a guy that had to reset a lot. He had a lot of power in his right hand, and when he got it throwing, he would throw it with a lot of speed and a lot of accuracy. Very heavy puncher. If you don't know about Ernie Shavers, get to know. Biggest puncher you're gonna get, bruv. I think he's all about 60-something fights and 60-something knockouts. Crazy. But Larry employed a jab, but a very accurate jab in that fight. He made sure that when he was jabbing, it was unsettling and making Ernie have to reset. And Ernie wasn't the best technical boxer. We've seen him in other fights where he would beat guys and he would kind of shut down, and then he would beat guys and he would lose again. He wasn't very consistent. And Holmes credited his jab to Arnie and Liston. We know Arnie had a great jab, and we know Sonny Liston had a good jab. And their jabs were great offenses, but were great defenses. That's what makes the jab such a great punch. You can use it to attack, but you can also use it to retreat and get some air, get some some oxygen, and just chill and relax. And we saw that with Larry. In different fights, he showed different jabs. In the Ken Norton fight, that wasn't an easy fight for Larry, but he didn't move as much as he did, but he made sure he kept distance. So one thing about Larry, he was fantastic at distance, and he would always parry and keep his left hand up to make sure he's either blinding you and making you have to reset, or he's setting up his own straight right hand, and he would always do that. So if he wasn't flicking the jab, he would keep it out and he would just let you taste something and keep it in your face. And that was one of the things that made him so good. And his jab was very quick, very quick. Ken Norton was no joke as well. Ken Norton was no joke. Again, another guy that was pressuring Larry, making him have to move. And Larry liked those kind of fighters, those kind of fighters that would come forward and make him have to work, because Larry knew the science. He knew how to utilize the ring. This is a man that was sparring with Arnie for a long time. He knew how to utilize the ring. Of course he did. And it was a fight where he had to just move, pick his shots, show good footwork. He was in great condition for Norton. I'm saying, WBC heavyweight title. Larry could punch, to get it twisted, But when he set up his right hand with his left jab, it hurt more because it was very explosive, especially in his prime. When he threw his right hand without the jab, it wasn't as powerful. Opponents could see it, But listen, it was a great fight. And Harry Holmes you need to watch that if you haven't seen that. It was a very good fight. And even in the Tim Witherspoon's fight, again, early in that fight, Larry didn't move that much. But he just kept keeping that little bit of distance, keeping that distance. And Tim Witherspoon was a big guy as well. He was quite tall, long legs, tall guy, and he was throwing his own jab. So this was a fight where Larry had to kind of, they say you can jab against a jabber, don't hook against a hooker. So Larry kind of put his shoulder out. It wasn't a shoulder roll, but he jabbed off the shoulder. He didn't put too much in it. But he knew it was a fight that was going to definitely go long, and he had to make sure he out-jabbed and out-pointed, or looked like he was out-pointing Tim with the spoon. And that was a fight where Larry didn't use his legs that much. And Tim was one of someone who would try to switch styles during fights. Sometimes he would use the two-arm defense. Sometimes he would use his jab. But that was a fight where Larry had to vary the jab. And what I'm trying to say with Larry Holmes is, what makes him such an effective fighter with the jab is he varied it fight to fight. Even against Holyfield, a fight that he lost, he was in it because he knew how to utilize the ring. He knew how to take rests. He bust up Holyfield's eye quite a few times because he still had that accurate veteran jab that was very accurate. You see, some guys, they throw a jab and they don't know where they're throwing it. They're throwing it straight, but they're not aiming for anything. They're just trying to wing it straight. When Larry threw a jab, he was aiming for your eye, for your nose, to keep at distance, for your lip. He knew where he was doing it, which made him such a great fighter. You can't underestimate a kind of guy that has a jab like that. So, excellent fighter in his hay. I will do some fights some fight breakdowns and some archive revisiting some fights with Larry, because he was an excellent fighter, and he'd give any of today's heavyweights in his prime a great fight. Very, very durable, very slick, very smart, and he knew how to avoid punches. He knew how to fight boxers, and 9 times out of 10, Larry got his game plan quite well. Against Spinks, he was unfortunate. Many people thought he beat Spinks, but when Larry fought heavyweight, most of the time he got it right. In his prime, I suppose, when he started getting older, he had to fight off his brains more physically because he was in terrible condition. But he still fought his heart out, and he still utilised the same jab he used, and he varied it. So for fighters in the future, you've got to learn to vary your jab. The same way you vary the power you put in your right hand, you vary the way you throw your left hook. The jab is even something you've got to vary as well.